Hello and welcome to Rock Rehab. Thanks for tuning in again.
Today we're going to be doing a build video on my K10. We're going to be putting on some aluminum C-hubs. These ones actually came off of his ripper. We put brass ones on, so we figure we'll throw these on the K10. And then we got the 48 turn Injora motor. Now this one is crazy slow. I've got crawler gears in the axles and the transmission. So we're going to put the faster Injora motor in, see if we can't still get the low speed with having a good trail speed as well. The other things we're going to be putting on is we got a brass skid plate. Just add a little sprung weight to it and see how that does. And then last is just going to be a aluminum servo horn. So nothing crazy. All right, let's get to it. So here we go, we got the K10. I think what we're going to do is just start with disassembling it. It's got to come almost all the way apart to get that trans plate in there anyways. So start with the battery tray.
Take that out. It's just 2 screws and then it pops into the frame. Pretty straightforward for that one.
And if you don't have a tray for your screws, you should get one. Helps you from losing it.
All of us that have worked on these know that it's way too freaking easy to lose all these teeny little parts.
I know I've lost quite a few. So that's it, just 2 screws and undo the wiring, and then the battery mount comes off.
Transmission's just got 4 going all the way around it, then you can pull the drive shafts apart. You don't necessarily have to take those off first before taking the tranny off.
Mine only has 3 because I stripped one out.
We can put 4 back in when we put it back together, though. I got an extra one here for you.
Perfect. And the trans does kind of stick in there. You just got to pop it out of there. It does come out. Just kind of pry up on it.
You can push it up from the bottom too.
Then it looks like we got to take all of the links off. Alright, so we got all those screws out. Now we should just be able to pull all the links up. Kind of spread it apart and pop this out. And there we go. We got the plastic one out. Let's take a look at what's in this new one. Alright, so we got screws. Looks like they give us a bag of stainless screws and the aluminum plate. It's a pretty good looking plate.
Aluminum?
Brass, not aluminum. My bad. No, I didn't pay attention which way this went. But it's a good thing we got another high trail to look at.
Here's the other way. The sloped side goes forward. Yep.
Perfect. There we go. Got 3 screw holes to help line you up. So it looks like you got these 2 screws, the small ones on each side. Kind of help hold it in place. Should help you get the links in there properly. it for the mount. That's in there. So let's probably go ahead and split the case open and change that motor.
When you take these guys out, make sure to line them up so you know which order they go back. If you're used to them, it's not so bad, but it can be kind of confusing if you haven't taken these apart before.
And you don't have to take the second drive shaft off. As long as you pull these two pins out first, you can get to the motor mount. The new motor did come with new stainless steel screws too. I highly recommend using the stainless steel screws that they come with, because as you use these steel ones, every time you put these in, it scratches the coating off, and then when you wash them, they'll start to rust inside those screw holes. I had a Summit that I did that on and ruined the entire car. That sucked.
I didn't even think about that.
So just like that, you got two little screws in there you take out, motor slips in. Now you just gotta, hopefully you remembered which position the gears were in.
Do you lube them before you put them in, or do you like doing it after?
We'll put a little bit of lube down in there. I use this. This is just some regular grease. You get it at, I got this at Harbor Freight. This is synthetic grease. You don't want to use too much. It'll start binding the gears. And just put a little dab in there on that motor.
Have a glove if you want.
And then this one with the flat goes down here in the bottom first. Then your pin goes in. If you got gorilla hands like mine, needle nose pliers, they're a lifesaver.
Got more grease?
No, because that grease right there is going to get on there. So then this one, on one side of it, you've got the gears, and the other side you just have a spacer. The spacer goes in first. And you got your little pin. Now when I put these gears in, I did notice that if you put too much grease on there, it actually starts to bind. So I learned just to put just enough just to coat the gears. Just on the outside. And then I like to make sure everything's nice and lined up before you put the case on. Now one thing I like to do is these little screws for your axles, make sure that they're lined up so when you do it, both screw heads are the same. So anytime you're working on it, you don't have to try to spin the transmission. You just line one side up and the other side's going to be good. So now that that's in, because this is a new motor and I've never installed it before, I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to the ESC, and we're going to run it and make sure that transmission is nice and smooth. Just go ahead. Put it on full throttle. Just like that, everything looks good. No weird noises, no clunks, nothing out of the ordinary. So we're ready to put it back together. So then this part can get a little tricky because you gotta fit your trans in here.
I like to line the drive shafts up as you put it in, otherwise you've got to take them back apart.
And if you remember to put the motor in the right way, that helps too. There we go. Both drive shafts are in, motor slipped in, get it screwed down. So just like that, we got the trans pan in, the motor in, everything bolted back up. So now we just need to get the battery tray back in and get it rewired. Perfect, just like that. Got our new motor wired in. Got our steering servo wired back in. And that's it for the motor. So I guess now we're going to get these C-hubs bolted in. Normally, just to do these C-hubs, you would just pull them out and there's no big deal. But since we got to get that servo horn, I'm going to go ahead and take the steering linkage out. Just like that, you wiggle the servo out. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind when you're changing the servo horn, watch the placement. Make sure the new horn goes in the exact position that your old one is. When you go to do this, make sure you hold your servo horn. So when you loosen this nut, you don't spin that servo, because you got to make sure that that stays in the same spot. And just wiggle off, pops right off. Throw your new one on. And you can be just one tooth off, just like that, and it'll throw off your steering angles. So make sure you put it on perfectly in the same spot. There's no Loctite on these new screws, so I'm going to go ahead. This is a difficult screw to get to, so it's not one that you want to just tighten on the trail real quick. So we're going to go ahead and put some Loctite on it. A little dab of blue on there. A lot of these aftermarket servo horns, they're going to have multiple placements for your linkage. So if you're unsure, just take your old one, line it up, Now I'm on the furthest hole out. Slip it right back in. Make sure you grab the right screwdriver, that helps. Now that the new servo horn's in, I'm going to go ahead and get these C-hubs changed. Both your axles just slide right out. And then on the end of the C-hub, you've got your bearing, which I've switched this whole thing to bearings and got rid of all the bushings. You just got these two small screws that'll hold the bearing and the C-hub in place. Now when you switch to metal C-hubs, you're going to have these little tiny bushings that you can see right here. Those are going to slide in, and then you'll use a standard screw instead of the shoulder screws that are normally in there. So there we go, the C-hubs are in. And if you couldn't tell, then the first time I had a problem with these little bushings falling out. The second time I put a little grease in the C-hubs, and that seemed to hold them in there. And they didn't fall out again. But now I guess let's get the steering linkage back in. There we go, got the steering linkage back in, got the aluminum C-hubs in, the brass trans plate, and the new motor. Get the wheels and body back on and we'll go crawl. There we go, guys. We got all the parts installed. She's ready to go. Thanks for watching. So there you go. That's after all the upgrades. One thing we did forget to mention beforehand is those tires, those 70 mil 1.3 tires that are on there. We had just put those on there. We didn't get a video of putting them on, but those are new. We ran them one time on that indoor course that was out in Salt Lake. But I think it did really well. I think the brass skid plate helped out quite a bit. Those tires did phenomenal. I got no complaints.
Definitely a performance gain out of those ones. I think those were good parts for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. Tune in again.
See ya.